The phone buzzing at 3 a.m. wasn't unusual anymore. What was unusual was me actually answering it. I grabbed it off the nightstand, squinting at the screen. Her name flashed with 3 missed calls already showing above it. I knew what this meant. Another crisis. Another emergency that somehow always required my immediate financial intervention. Hello. Oh, thank God you answered. Her voice came through frantic, almost shrill. I need you to send me $2,000 right now. My card got declined, and we can't leave until the bill is paid. I sat up slowly, letting my eyes adjust to the darkness. Where are you? The Azure Lounge downtown. We came here after dinner, and I guess I miscalculated the tab, and now management is saying we can't leave until someone pays and my card keeps declining, and I don't understand why, because I just used it earlier today. How much is the bill? She hesitated, just for a second, but I caught it. Around $4,500. I let that number hang in the air between us. $4,500. At a nightclub. On a Wednesday night. Who's we? I asked, keeping my voice level. Just Delilah and some of her friends from work. We were celebrating her promotion and things just got a little out of hand with the bottle service and, your card declined because I canceled it yesterday. Silence. Then, you what? I canceled the joint credit card. The one you've been using to rack up charges at places I've never heard of. The statement came in. $11,000 last month alone. You can't just cancel my card without telling me. How am I supposed to? You're supposed to use your own money. From your own account. Like an adult. Her tone shifted fast, from panic to anger. Are you serious right now? I'm stuck here, and you're lecturing me about credit cards? They're threatening to call the police. Then let them call the police. What? I swung my legs out of bed, walking toward the window. The street below was empty, quiet, peaceful. You heard me. If you can't pay your bill, that's between you and the establishment. Call your father. He's always happy to bail you out. My father is asleep. Everyone is asleep except apparently you, who has decided tonight is the perfect time to be a complete. I'm going back to sleep too. Good luck. Wait, don't you dare hang up on. I ended the call and powered the phone off completely. Not silent mode. Not do not disturb. Off. I climbed back into bed, and honestly, I slept better than I had in months. The thing nobody tells you about marriage is how slowly the resentment builds. It's not one big moment. It's 1,000 small ones. It's coming home after a double shift to find shopping bags in the hallway. It's checking the bank account and feeling your stomach drop. It's hearing we can afford it when you know damn well we means you. I worked as a senior technician at an automotive repair facility. Good job, decent pay, nothing glamorous. Around $60,000 a year. She worked part-time as a coordinator at an event planning company, bringing in maybe $20,000. But somehow, we were always broke. Always behind. Always one unexpected expense away from disaster. And tonight, I'd finally had enough. When morning came, I made coffee and got ready for work like any other Thursday. I powered my phone back on around 7. 17 missed calls. 32 text messages. I scrolled through them while eating toast. Most were variations of the same panic, the same accusations, the same demands. A few were from numbers I didn't recognize. Then I saw the one that made me stop chewing. It was from the police department's non-emergency line. Mr. Nash, this is Officer Hammond with the downtown precinct. We need you to call us back regarding your wife. She's been detained and listed you as her emergency contact. I saved that message, finished my breakfast, and headed to work. Some problems, I'd learned, solve themselves if you just stop enabling them. This was one of those times. The shop was busy that morning. 3 oil changes, a transmission job, and a brake replacement that turned into a full suspension overhaul. I was elbow deep in a Ford F-150 when my supervisor tapped my shoulder. Hey, you got a call on the office line. Says it's urgent. I wiped my hands on a rag and headed inside. The number on the caller ID matched the voicemail from earlier. This is Nash. Mr. Nash, Officer Hammond here. Thanks for calling back. I need to speak with you about your wife. She was arrested early this morning at the Azure Lounge downtown. Arrested? I kept my tone neutral, curious. For what exactly? Theft of services and disorderly conduct. She and 3 others attempted to leave the establishment without settling a bill of $4,500. When security stopped them, there was an altercation. Nothing violent, but enough shouting to warrant charges. I leaned against the desk. I see. She's been asking us to call you since about 4 this morning. Keeps saying there's been a misunderstanding, that you'll come down and clear everything up. Bail is set at $1,500. What happens if I don't post bail? There was a pause. She'll be held until her arraignment. Probably Monday morning, since tomorrow's Friday and the courts don't process these cases over weekends. So 4 days. Correct. Mr. Nash, is there a reason you're hesitant to? Officer, can you tell me who else was arrested with her? Papers shuffled on his end. Delilah Mosley, age 32. Robert Cunningham, age 38. And Jeffrey Ingram, age 36. That last name landed like a punch. Jeffrey, the guy she'd mentioned exactly twice in 6 months. Once saying he was Delilah's colleague. Once saying he gave good advice about marketing strategies. Was this her first time at this establishment? I asked. According to the manager, no. They recognized her as a regular. Said she usually paid without issue, but last night was different. Higher tab, larger group, and when the card declined, things got messy fast. A regular. That's what he said. Look, Mr. Nash, I'm just trying to help your wife get home. But I need to know if you're planning to post bail or if we should have her make other arrangements. I checked my watch. Almost noon. I'll come down there, officer. But not to post bail. I need to see the incident report and speak with the manager if possible. That's unusual, but I can arrange it. When can you be here? Give me an hour. I hung up and stood there for a moment, processing. A regular at an exclusive lounge. For $1,000 tabs. Jeffrey Ingram. My phone buzzed with another text from her number. Please answer. I am begging you. This is insane. I pocketed it without responding. Back in the shop, I found my supervisor. Family emergency. Need to take a personal day. He looked at me, probably reading more in my expression than I intended to show. Everything okay? It will be. The drive downtown took 30 minutes. The police station was exactly what you'd expect. Fluorescent lights, uncomfortable chairs, and that specific smell of burnt coffee and industrial cleaner. Officer Hammond was younger than his voice suggested, maybe early 40s with graying temples. He shook my hand firmly. Appreciate you coming down. Your wife has been asking for you every 20 minutes. I'd like to see that incident report first. He pulled out a folder, flipping it open. Standard theft of services. The group ordered premium bottle service, appetizers, the works. When the bill came, your wife offered her card. Declined. She tried 2 more cards. Both declined. That's when Mr. Ingram offered his card, which also declined. He tried to pay? According to the manager, yes. Then Miss Mosley tried hers. Also declined. At that point, security was called. Your wife became agitated, claiming her husband would handle it. She tried to leave. Security detained them. Things escalated verbally. I scanned the report. The manager's statement caught my eye. Regular customer, usually Wednesday nights, sometimes Fridays. Always well-dressed. Always with the same group of 2 women and 1 to 2 men. Can I speak with the manager? Hammond nodded. He's on his way. Should be here in 15 minutes. He wanted to press charges fully, but he's willing to discuss arrangements if restitution is made. I'm not paying that bill, officer. He blinked. Excuse me. I didn't order anything. I wasn't there. She made those choices with her friends. They can face the consequences. Mr. Nash, with all due respect, she's your wife. In situations like these, family usually enables the behavior until it gets worse. Not this time. The door to the holding area opened, and I heard her voice before I saw her. Is that him? Is my husband here? She appeared in the doorway, still wearing the dress from last night, makeup smeared, hair disheveled. When she saw me, relief flooded her face. Oh, thank God. Tell them this is a mistake. Tell them you'll pay and we can leave. I looked at her, this woman I'd been married to for 8 years, and felt nothing but tired clarity. No. Her expression crumbled. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not paying your bill. I'm not posting your bail. You're going to sit here until Monday and think about the choices you've made. You can't be serious. Officer Hammond, where do I sign to confirm I'm declining to post bail? I left the station with her screaming my name down the hallway. Officer Hammond looked uncomfortable, but he didn't stop me. The manager arrived just as I was walking out, a middle-aged guy in an expensive suit who wanted to discuss payment plans. She's not my responsibility anymore. I told him, file your charges. Do what you need to do. The drive home felt different. Lighter somehow, despite everything. I'd spent years carrying weight that wasn't mine to carry. Today, I finally put it down. Our house was a small 3-bedroom rental in a decent neighborhood. $1,500 a month, which I could actually afford alone if I wasn't constantly covering her spending. I parked in the driveway and sat there for a minute, looking at the place like I was seeing it for the first time. Inside, the evidence of her lifestyle was everywhere. Shopping bags from stores I couldn't afford stacked in the spare bedroom. Designer shoes she wore once. Skincare products that cost more than my car payment. The credit card statements I'd been reviewing for weeks were spread across the kitchen table where I'd left them. But now I was looking for something specific. I opened her laptop, the one she used for event planning work. No password. She'd always been careless about security, confident I'd never invade her privacy. Her email was already logged in. I started scrolling. The first few pages were ordinary. Client communications, vendor quotes, schedule confirmations. Then I found a folder labeled Social. Inside were hundreds of messages. Group chats with Delilah and others, coordinating their Wednesday night outings. But these weren't casual friend hangouts. These were planned events at specific venues, with specific people. Jeffrey's name appeared constantly. Jeff says the VIP section is reserved for 9 p.m. Jeff got us on the list again. Jeff wants to know if we're bringing anyone else. I clicked deeper. Found messages between just her and Jeffrey. Last night was fun. We should do that again soon. Your husband doesn't suspect anything, right? He's always working. Doesn't even notice when I'm gone. My jaw tightened, but I kept reading. There were photos. Group shots at clubs I'd never heard of. Her sitting close to Jeffrey, his arm around her shoulders. Nothing explicitly incriminating, but the familiarity was obvious. These weren't people who just met through mutual friends. I opened her banking app next, using the password she kept on a sticky note in her desk drawer. Her personal checking account showed a pattern I'd somehow missed while focused only on our joint accounts. Regular deposits from her part-time job, sure, but also transfers. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Small amounts, 50 here, 75 there, always from the same usernames. I cross-referenced them with social media. Jeffrey Ingram, Robert Cunningham, even Delilah occasionally. They'd been sending her money. Gas money, she'd probably claim. Contribution for shared rides or meals. But the frequency told a different story. This was supplemental income for maintaining a lifestyle she couldn't actually afford. Then I found the credit cards I didn't know about. 2 store cards, both maxed out. 1 personal card with a limit of $3,000, sitting at $2,900. The statements showed charges at restaurants, bars, salons, and one that made my stomach turn, a hotel. The Grandview, downtown. 3 separate charges over the past 2 months, each around $200. I sat back in the chair, piecing it together. The Wednesday nights weren't new. This had been going on for at least 6 months, maybe longer. She'd built an entire social circle around these outings, funded partially by money these men were giving her, partially by credit I didn't know existed, and partially by draining our joint accounts whenever I wasn't paying attention. Jeffrey wasn't just Delilah's colleague. Based on the messages, he was someone she talked to almost daily. Someone who knew details about our marriage, our finances, our problems. My phone rang. Her father. I let it go to voicemail, then listened. Listen, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but my daughter called me in tears from jail. Jail. You need to get down there and fix this immediately. I don't care what petty argument you two are having. Family doesn't abandon family. Call me back. I deleted the voicemail. Her mother tried next. Same script, different voice. More emotional manipulation, less direct anger. I deleted that one too. Then Delilah's number popped up. I answered. Yeah. What the hell is wrong with you? Her voice was sharp, accusatory. You left her there? Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? For who? For all of us. She's your wife, and you just walked away like she's nothing. Funny, she's been treating our marriage like nothing for months, but I don't hear you concerned about that. Silence. Then, quieter. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the Wednesday night club scene you've all been running. I'm talking about Jeffrey and Robert. I'm talking about the money, the hotels, the lies. Those were just nights out. Harmless fun. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. $4,000 tabs are harmless? Secret credit cards are harmless? Tell me, Delilah, how many times has Jeffrey paid for her drinks? Another pause. Look, maybe things got a little out of hand, but here's what's going to happen. You're going to pay your portion of that club bill. She's going to pay hers. Jeffrey and Robert can figure out their shares. And then you're all going to stay away from my wife. Your wife? Pretty sure you abandoned that title when you left her in jail. No, I abandoned the title of enabler. There's a difference. I hung up and blocked her number. The house was quiet now. Just me and the evidence of a double life I'd been too busy working to notice. I took photos of everything. The emails, the bank statements, the hotel charges. saved them to a cloud drive, backed them up twice. Then I opened a new browser tab and searched for divorce attorneys in the area. Time to make some permanent changes. Friday morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. I had appointments to keep. The law office of Adelaide Hammond & Associates was a small firm that specialized in family law. I'd found them online with solid reviews and reasonable rates. The consultation was scheduled for 9 a.m. Adelaide Hammond herself met with me, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. I laid out everything: the spending, the secret accounts, the hotel charges, the messages with Jeffrey. She listened without interrupting, taking notes on a legal pad. When I finished, she set down her pen. How long have you been married? 8 years. Any children? No. Joint assets besides the rental home? 2 cars. Mine is paid off, a 2015 Chevrolet. Hers is financed, a 2020 Nissan. I've been making those payments. Joint checking and savings, though the savings is basically empty. She has her own accounts I just discovered. And you want to file immediately? Today, if possible. She nodded slowly. Given the circumstances, especially the arrest and the evidence of financial infidelity, we can file for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. Texas is a no-fault state, but this evidence will help significantly in asset division. The fact that she's currently detained actually works in our favor for serving papers. How soon can we move? I can have papers ready by this afternoon. We'll need to serve them officially, but since she's in custody, we can deliver them through the jail system. It's unconventional, but effective. Do it. She quoted me a retainer fee, $3,500. Money I definitely didn't have sitting around, but money I'd been saving for months in a separate account she didn't know about. An emergency fund for exactly this kind of emergency. I wrote the check. One more thing, I said. I want to be there when she receives them. Adelaide raised an eyebrow. That's not typically how we handle service, but given the circumstances, I can arrange for you to deliver them personally during a supervised visit. It might actually encourage her to sign quickly. Perfect. By 4 p.m., I was back at the police station with a manila envelope containing divorce papers, financial affidavits, and a formal separation agreement. Officer Hammond from the day before was off shift, replaced by a younger woman named Officer Parker who seemed confused by my request. You want to visit your wife to serve divorce papers? Correct. She shook her head slightly, like she'd seen everything now. Give me 15 minutes. The visiting room was small, separated by plexiglass with phones on either side. I sat down and waited. When they brought her in, she looked worse than yesterday. The dress was wrinkled, her face puffy from crying. She grabbed the phone immediately. Thank God. I knew you'd come. I knew you wouldn't actually leave me here. Baby, this has been the worst 2 days of my life, and I'm not here to get you out. She stopped mid-sentence. What? I held up the envelope so she could see it through the glass. I'm here to give you these. What is that? Divorce papers. Her face went white. You're joking. Not even a little bit. I filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. I'm requesting sole possession of our joint accounts, the car that's paid off, and an equitable division of any remaining assets. You can keep your Nissan and the payments that come with it. You can't do this. You can't just. I found everything. The emails with Jeffrey, the hotel charges, the secret credit cards, the money they've been sending you. All of it. She set the phone down for a moment, pressing her palms against her eyes. When she picked it back up, her voice was different. Smaller. It wasn't what it looked like. Really? Then explain the Grandview Hotel. 3 times in 2 months. That was for work events. Client meetings that ran late. Your event planning company doesn't have clients that require hotel meetings. I called them. They said you barely work 15 hours a week and it's all administrative. Her jaw clenched. You called my work? I did my homework. Something I should have done a long time ago. Now here's what happens next. You sign these papers, we divide everything fairly, and we both move on. Or you fight it, spend money you don't have on lawyers, and we end up in the same place 6 months from now, except you'll also have a criminal record from this arrest. This is insane. You're being completely irrational. I'm being rational for the first time in years. Every Wednesday night for 6 months, you've been living a different life. Spending money we didn't have with people I didn't know about. That's not a marriage. That's fraud. A guard knocked on the glass from her side, pointing at a clock. 5 minutes left. She leaned closer to the phone. What about counseling? What about trying to work through this? People make mistakes. Mistakes are accidental. This was intentional. This was planned. This was a choice you made every single week. So that's it. 8 years and you're just done. No, 8 years and you're just caught. There's a difference. Her expression shifted again, this time to anger. Fine. You want a divorce? You'll get one. But don't think you're taking everything. I have rights too. You have the right to a fair division of assets. You don't have the right to my continued support while you party with Jeffrey and his friends. Sign the papers or don't. Either way, this marriage is over. I stood up, setting the envelope on the counter between us. The guard on her side collected it and handed it through the slot. She held it like it might burn her. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe it took me this long. I hung up the phone and walked out. In the hallway, Officer Parker was waiting. That seemed intense. It needed to be. For what it's worth, I've seen a lot of people come through here. Most partners show up with bail money and excuses. You showed up with boundaries. That takes guts. Or just exhaustion. She smiled slightly. Sometimes they're the same thing. I drove home as the sun started setting, the sky turning orange and purple over the highway. My phone buzzed constantly with calls from her family, from Delilah, from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored all of them. At home, I made dinner. Just pasta and grilled chicken, nothing fancy. I ate at the kitchen table, looking at the space where her laptop had been before I'd locked it in the spare bedroom with the rest of her belongings. The house felt bigger somehow. Emptier, but in a good way. Like a weight had been lifted from the walls themselves. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from an unknown number. This is Jeffrey. We need to talk about what happened. It's not what you think. I stared at it for a long moment, then typed back. You tried to pay a $4,000 tab with a declined card while out with my wife at 3 a.m. I think I understand perfectly. I blocked the number and finished my dinner. Some conversations aren't worth having. Monday morning arrived with a knock on my door at 7 a.m. I was already awake, drinking coffee and getting ready for work. Through the peephole, I saw her father standing on the porch. He looked like he hadn't slept, his usual polished appearance replaced with wrinkled clothes and an expression that promised confrontation. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. We need to talk, he said. About what? About the fact that my daughter spent the weekend in jail while you sat here doing nothing. About the divorce papers you served her like she's some criminal. About you abandoning your responsibilities as a husband. I leaned against the doorframe. Your daughter spent the weekend in jail because she tried to skip out on a $4,500 bar tab. I didn't put her there. Her choices did. She made a mistake. One mistake, and you're throwing away 8 years. It wasn't one mistake. It was 6 months of lying, sneaking around, and spending money we didn't have on a lifestyle she couldn't afford. But you already know that, don't you? He shifted uncomfortably. What's that supposed to mean? It means every time she overspent, every time she maxed out a card, you bailed her out. You taught her there are no consequences. Well, now there are. She's my daughter. What was I supposed to do? Let her grow up. Let her face the results of her decisions. But instead, you enabled her, and now she's 34 years old with no concept of financial responsibility or accountability. His face reddened. Don't you dare lecture me about my parenting. You're the one who's supposed to take care of her. I did take care of her. For 8 years, I worked doubles to cover her spending. I ignored the warning signs because I thought marriage meant sacrifice. But sacrifice goes both ways, and she wasn't sacrificing anything except my peace of mind. So you're just going to divorce her? Just like that. Just like that. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me with proximity. It didn't work. If you go through with this, you're going to regret it. She deserves better than you anyway. Then we agree on something. She deserves someone who won't notice the hotels, the secret credit cards, or the guy named Jeffrey who keeps texting her. Someone who'll keep paying her bills while she parties downtown every Wednesday. That's not me anymore. His confidence faltered slightly. What hotels? Ask her about the Grandview. 3 visits in 2 months. Unless you want me to forward you the credit card statements. He opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. Even if things weren't perfect, you don't just quit on a marriage. I'm not quitting. I'm stopping. There's a difference. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to get to work. Some of us still have jobs. I closed the door before he could respond. Through the window, I watched him stand there for another minute before finally walking back to his truck. He sat in the driver's seat for a while, probably calling her or her mother or maybe even his lawyer. I didn't care which. At work, my supervisor pulled me aside during lunch. Everything okay? You seem distracted. Going through a divorce. His eyebrows went up. Oh man, I'm sorry. How long were you married? 8 years. But it should have ended about 6 months ago when I first noticed the problems. You need time off? We can adjust the schedule. Actually, work is the only place that makes sense right now. I'd rather stay busy." He nodded, understanding. "Let me know if that changes." That afternoon, I got a call from Adelaide Hammond. "She signed the papers," she said without preamble. "We received them this morning. She's also requesting spousal support." "On what grounds?" "She claims she reduced her work hours to support the household and now can't maintain her standard of living." I actually laughed. Her standard of living involved $4,500 club tabs. That's not sustainable for anyone. I agree. Given her arrest, the evidence of undisclosed debt, and her employability, I don't think any judge will award significant support. But she's going to fight for it anyway. How long until this is finalized? In Texas, minimum 60 days from filing. But with her current legal situation complicating things, probably closer to 90. The good news is she's motivated to settle quickly. The criminal charges are her priority right now. What's happening with those? Arraignment was this morning. She pled not guilty, but the club manager is pushing for restitution. If she can pay the bill, they might drop the theft charges. The disorderly conduct will probably stick. Not my problem. Exactly. I'll keep you updated on the divorce proceedings. In the meantime, keep documenting everything. Any contact with her or her family, any financial changes, anything relevant. Will do. That evening, Delilah showed up at my door. She looked defensive, arms crossed, chin up. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't." "Yes, we do. You've destroyed everything over a misunderstanding." "Which part is the misunderstanding? The secret hotel visits or the married woman spending every Wednesday night at clubs with men I don't know?" She flinched. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like? Explain it to me." "It was just friends hanging out. Jeffrey is engaged. Robert is married. It was never about hooking up or cheating. It was about having fun, feeling young again, escaping the pressure of everyday life. Escaping on my dime. She always planned to pay you back. With what money? The part-time job she barely works? The credit cards she maxed out? The cash you guys were sending her?" Delilah's expression shifted. "How do you know about that?" "I know everything. I went through her accounts, her emails, her messages. I know about the group chats, the coordinated lies, the entire operation you all had going. And now it's over. You're being vindictive." "No, I'm being done. There's a difference. She made choices. Now she gets to live with them. She loves you. She loves what I provide. There's a difference." Delilah shook her head. "You're making a mistake. Marriages require work, forgiveness, compromise. I compromised for 8 years. I forgave 1,000 small things. I worked double shifts to fund a lifestyle I never wanted. What did she compromise? She didn't have an answer for that. That's what I thought. Now leave. And tell Jeffrey and Robert they can stay away too. If any of you contact me again, I'll file harassment charges." "You can't do that. Watch me." I closed the door and locked it. My phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. A screenshot of a group chat. He's insane. Completely irrational. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he finally grew a spine. Whose side are you on? Nobody's. I'm just saying, we all knew this would blow up eventually. I didn't recognize the numbers, but the context was clear. Her friend group was fracturing, people choosing sides or abandoning ship entirely. Another message came through, this time from her mother. "Please reconsider." She's devastated. She knows she made mistakes, but everyone deserves a second chance. "Don't throw away your marriage over pride." I typed back. "This isn't about pride. It's about dignity. There's a difference." Then I blocked her number too. The house was quiet again. Just me, the evidence boxes I'd prepared for the attorney, and the growing realization that I'd spent 8 years living someone else's idea of a marriage. My phone buzzed one last time. Adelaide Hammond. "The club is willing to settle for $3,500 if paid in full by Friday." She doesn't have it. Her father is refusing to pay. "Thought you should know." I stared at the message, then typed back, "Not my circus anymore." She replied with a thumbs up emoji. I made dinner, watched a show I'd wanted to see for months, and went to bed at a reasonable hour. For the first time in years, I slept through the night without waking up to check bank balances or worry about mystery charges. It felt like freedom. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized on a Tuesday morning. I signed the papers in Adelaide's office, walked out, and went straight to work. She got the Nissan with its remaining payments, her personal accounts with their debt, and half of what little we had in savings. I kept my truck, the tools I'd bought over the years, and my sanity. The criminal charges stuck. She pled guilty to theft of services and disorderly conduct, receiving community service, probation, and a permanent record. Her event planning company let her go quietly when the story made local news. Last I heard, she was working retail and living with her parents. Jeffrey vanished from social media entirely. His engagement ended around the same time the arrests went public. Robert apparently got divorced too, though I didn't follow up on details. Delilah stopped reaching out after the third block number. I moved to a smaller apartment closer to work, cutting my rent by $400 a month. Without her spending, I started actually saving money, built up an emergency fund, paid off my truck early, started contributing to retirement again. The shop promoted me to lead technician with a raise. Nothing dramatic, but enough to feel like progress. I dated occasionally, nothing serious. Learned to enjoy my own company again. Rediscovered hobbies I'd abandoned because they weren't couple activities. Her family never apologized, but they stopped contacting me after the divorce finalized. I heard through mutual acquaintances that her father finally cut her off financially, forcing her to actually budget for the first time in her life. Sometimes people asked if I regretted how I handled things, if I should have tried harder, been more forgiving, given her another chance. I always gave them the same answer. I didn't abandon my wife. I stopped enabling an adult who refused to face consequences. That night she called from the club, demanding money she hadn't earned for a lifestyle she couldn't afford. Wasn't the beginning of the end. It was just the first time I finally said no. And that made all the difference. I'm not bitter. I'm not angry. I'm just done carrying weight that was never mine to carry. She wanted someone who would always bail her out, always say yes, always prioritize her desires over basic financial stability. I wanted a partner. We were never going to work. The best decision I ever made was turning off my phone and going back to sleep. Everything else just followed naturally.